Okay, so welcome to another wonderful session in learning science. In this section of the video, we shall be talking about force. Force. We'll be talking about force. Okay, okay. So, what is our learning objective going to be? Our learning objective is going to include these that I have listed at the end of this session. You will be able to define force. You'll be able to state the two types of force. You'll be able to differentiate between contact and non-contact force. And then you should be able to mention the cause and effect of gravity on anybody, and then you'll be able to list and differentiate between gravitational and frictional force. Okay, so that's our learning objective. Now let's go. An examiner asks you, what is a force? What will you say? What is a force? What is force? You say force is any action that moves or try to move a body or alter its speed in a given direction. Is any action that moves or try to move a body or alter its speed in a given direction, meaning force has a unified direction. For example, you and your friend are playing football and you kick the ball to your friend. You are applying a force onto that ball. As soon as you apply the force to that ball, you see the ball that is at rest, having a potential energy, we suddenly change direction and gain kinetic energy and move towards the direction on which the force is being applied. Or simply, if anybody asks you what the force is, this is the simplified version of it. You can say it is either a push or a pull, a push or a pull. So that is the definition of force. I hope you follow that. Now, we're looking at two types of force under this context. What are the two types of force we are going to look at? We are going to consider contact force and non-contact force. These are the two types of force we are considering today, contact force and non-contact force. What is contact force? If you are talking about contact force, you are saying the two bodies are in contact with each other. The two bodies are in contact with each other. For example, you rub your palm. Two of your palm are in contact with each other. So the force being applied there is a contact force. Is a contact force. You kick a ball, is a contact force. At least your leg touches the ball before the ball moves. That is contact force. So what are the examples of contact force here? Example is push. You can't push somebody in abstract. Or pull, tension, in string, gripping, friction when you are walking. All of these are examples of forces that denote two bodies coming in contact with each other. If you and your friend are playing and you want to push your friend, you can't just be pushing your friend in that time. Your hand must touch your friend before he or she moves. Okay, now what about non-contact force? Non-contact force. When we talk about non-contact force, we are talking about a force process in which the two bodies are not in contact with each other. The two bodies being denoted, they are not in contact with each other, but the force is being applied on them. Example, consider this example, gravitational field or gravity. You've been hearing all of this for some while. I'm going to explain it to you now. You throw an object off, the object automatically comes down. You throw it up, it goes up for a long, particular length of time. Later, the object comes back to the surface of the earth. What pushes the object back to the surface of the earth is called gravity or gravitational force. So you can see gravity is not touching the body. The earth is not touching the body, but it's exerting a force that is using to drag it to itself. Another one is magnet. You know all of these. Magnet. A magnet has two poles, north and south pole. Okay, so if you take a magnet and drag it very close to an iron or a magnetic material, what happens to the magnet, to the iron? The iron jumps towards the magnet. It drags towards the. That means the magnet exerts a non-contact force. A non-contact force. It doesn't mean the magnet touches the iron or the magnetic material before it magnetizes it. So that is a non-contact force. So when you're talking about non-contact force, you're saying the two types of force in motion, they are not in contact with each other. Example, gravitational field, magnetic field, and the electrical field. So those are the two types of force. Now, what are the cause effects of force? Effect of force. When you apply force on a body, what are the effects? Just consider this. A ball at rest. When you kick it, what happens? It moves. So the force moves or stop the moving body. And likewise, if your friend kicks the ball towards you, what do? You control it or you stop it. So that is one of the cause effects of force. Number two, force can either speed up or slow down a moving object. It can either slow down or speed it up. Supposing the ball that comes to you is at velocity of, let's say, 10 meters per second, and then your uncle kicked it, a very hefty man, kicked it, like that, and the ball jumps in another direction, and the ball now moves maybe 50 meters per second. So it's either the force effect has speed up or it has slowed down a moving object. And lastly, this is the third cause effect. It can change the direction of motion of any object. Supposing, consider that example of ball again, comes towards you. Number 9 kicks it to number 5. Number 5 kicks it to number 7. Okay, it changes direction. So those are the cause and cause effect of forces. Okay. Now let's move on. Now we talked about contact and non-contact force before. Now we want to consider these two non-contact force. These two non-contact force called magnetic and gravitational force. They are both non-contact forces. But what is the difference between them? So if anybody asks you what is a magnetic force, you say it's a force that exists between two magnets. What is magnetic force? Force that exists between two magnets. And what is gravitational force? You say it is the force through which the earth attracts all objects towards its center. Or you can say a smaller, if it's a bigger object attracts a smaller object to itself, then you call that one gravity. Just the same way the earth exerts gravity on the moon. The earth exerts gravity on the moon because the earth is bigger than the moon. And then such the earth exerts gravity on all the planetary bodies, on all the solar bodies surrounding it, including all the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and so on. That is gravity. Okay, now let's move on and see the differences between magnetic field and gravitational force. Differences between the magnetic force and gravitational force. So these are the differences. For magnetic force, it acts on magnetic material. It acts on magnetic material. It won't act on wood. It won't act on glass. But anything that is iron, ferromagnetic material, steel, and so on. Okay, now what about magnetic field? It exists between poles. The pole is the end of the magnet. If you take a bar magnet, you see one part painted red, another part painted blue. The both end of the magnet is called poles. Okay. Now, how do you differentiate magnetic force again? It is either attractive or repulsive depending on the poles. Like poles attract, like poles repel, unlike poles attract. Meaning, if you bring a south and a north pole towards each other, what do? They magnetize each other, they attract. But if you bring a south pole towards a south pole, they repel. Okay, good. And the last one, how do you differentiate it? It is explained between the north and the south. That is where the magnetic flux intensity concentrates. Fine. Now, let's go to gravitational force. How do you differentiate gravitational force from magnetic force? Gravitational force acts on all objects. It acts on all objects. Unlike magnetic force that acts on only magnetic material. For gravitational force, it acts on all the objects, and then it pushes objects close to each other. That means it is attractive. It is what? Attractive. Beautiful. So those are the differences between a magnetic force and a gravitational force. Fine. Okay, so that's our lesson. Now, from that short explanation, can you define force for me now in simple terms? Okay, what will you say? An examiner asks you, what is a force? It says, mention two types of force. Can you mention two types of force? Recall when you watch the video again. List three effects of force. Can you list three effects of force? What does force do? And what does force exert on a body? And lastly, can you mention two differences between a magnetic field and a gravitational field of force? Okay, so that is our lesson for today. If you like my video, please subscribe to my page on my YouTube channel so that as soon as I upload another video of interesting edition of science like this, you will be able to get it, and then the alert comes on your email. Or if you want to get back to me for any question, please contact me on this email, oliologwetu@gmail.com. Or if you want expensive other coaching across the world, please, you can join my Google Classroom with this key, X3PC 5CL. And then I just developed a new indigenous app for you to learn and train with. Okay, so you can visit that app and use it extensively to your benefit. That's our lesson for today. Thank you, and God bless you.